What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, March 14th, 2024, and I have a red alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 15:09 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Europe. So, overnight last night and early this morning, and throughout the day today, there have been a massive amount of attacks in southwestern Russia by the Russian Partisans. And also, the Sochi airport came under attack last night, the Sochi International Airport. And we know that in Sochi, Vladimir Putin has his presidential palace. I'm going to update you guys on that. We have air raid sirens going off this evening in southwestern Russia. The Russian partisans are again asking civilians to flee from Belgorod and Kursk, which are two big cities in southwest Russia. So it looks like all hell is about to break loose in parts of Russia ahead of Putin's re-election, which is going to be this weekend. And we also have some major breaking news coming out of France. The French newspaper Le Monde said that Emmanuel Macron stated at an event on February 21st that he's going to have to send some guys to Odessa in the coming year. Okay, this was at some kind of event at the Elysee Palace, which is the French presidential palace, and Emmanuel Macron was sipping some kind of drink, and he said to someone, anyway, in the coming year, I'm going to have to send some guys to Odessa. And this evening, Emmanuel Macron is going to be giving an unscheduled emergency address to the French people. And what he's going to talk about, we don't know, but it's going to happen this evening in France. And a lot of people, including myself, expect him to announce that they're going to send troops into Ukraine. And I reported last night during my live stream that there were some intelligence sources saying that French and Polish troops could go to Ukraine, to the Belarus border in Ukraine, to free up Ukrainian troops that would normally be protecting the border there. And then that would allow the Ukrainian troops to go east to the front lines. So, very serious news, guys. We know that that's a red line for Russia. If any NATO country deploys forces into Ukraine, Putin said he would consider that as a direct intervention and cause for war with NATO. And the leader of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, said that we're at a critical point in history. We can't allow Putin to win. He said that the alliance is not supplying Ukraine with enough ammunition, which is reflected on the battlefield. And he said that the fact that the Russians exceed the Ukrainians in weaponry on a daily basis is a huge problem. And he said that the Ukrainians are running out of ammunition and they need our help now. And Reuters is reporting that Russia jammed the satellite signal on an aircraft used by British Defense Minister Grant Shapps to travel from Poland back to Great Britain. A government source and journalists traveling with him said today. Okay, and this is interesting because last night I reported in my live stream that the Polish president had issues with his plane when he was flying back to Europe from the US. There was something wrong with his plane, and he actually had to switch planes and borrow a US military plane and fly back on a US military plane to Europe. Okay, so very, very interesting, guys. And that could be considered an assassination attempt on Grant Shapps, because if they jam the GPS on his aircraft bad enough, that could cause his plane to crash. Okay, but very, very interesting. And the French parliament on Tuesday approved the French government's Ukraine strategy, including a bilateral security agreement signed by Emmanuel Macron and Vladimir Zelensky last month. The French Senate was set to hold debates on Wednesday. Ukraine is watching us, waiting for the confirmation and signal of our unity behind them, French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal told the chamber ahead of the vote. He added that we are at a tipping point in the conflict and that a Russian victory had real, tangible dangers for the everyday life of French people. Wow, that is just absolutely insane, guys. Very strong words there. And we have some breaking news coming out of Israel indicating that Israel is increasing their nuclear weapons production. We're hearing that there's a dramatic rise in classified projects by the Israeli aerospace industries. Apparently, 15% of the revenues of that company are going to be coming from classified projects in the coming 2 years. And the Israeli aerospace industries classified projects include the Jericho ballistic missiles, which can carry nuclear warheads. Okay, so looks like Israel is going to be stepping up their ballistic missile production and their nuclear weapon production. And Moscow prosecutors warned Thursday against protests this weekend during Putin's re-election after the opposition leader Alexei Navalny's widow called for rallies outside voting stations. The organization of and participation in these mass events are punishable by virtue of the legislation in place, they said in a statement posted on Telegram. The vote runs from Friday to Sunday. So absolutely crazy, guys. So there are no free elections in Russia. Putin basically reelects himself, takes out any opposition leaders, and prosecutes anyone who protests. Okay, that is not a free society. And I want to just play some videos here coming from Russia this evening. Here we have a video out of Kursk. Okay, this is a major city in southwest Russia, and you can hear these air raid sirens going off. This is this evening, guys, right now. And there were several kabooms in Belgorod and Kursk this morning. And the Russian government is saying that 2 people were killed as a result of shelling in Belgorod, and 1 person was wounded. Here we have some footage from earlier today, also in southwest Russia. This is in Belgorod, I believe, or Kursk again. So air raid sirens going off in Russia, absolutely insane. This update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you got to use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com. And the link is in the description below this video. But this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life. It includes over 2,000 calories per day. Breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks, all contained within 6 rugged water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. So use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get $200 off or 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply. The link is in the description below this video. Free shipping is included. They also have a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running various discounts. And to get to their general store, you just got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo when you get to preparewithNYPrepper.com at the top of the page, and you'll see their general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running discounts here. So use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, and the link is in the description below this video. And here we have some footage coming from Sochi. You can see this massive plume of smoke coming from Sochi International Airport. We don't have any details as to what was hit or what kind of weapon was used, but you can see a huge fire there at the Sochi airport. So definitely this was Ukraine, because last night we had an RQ-4 Global Hawk reconnaissance drone that was flying over the Black Sea. And I told you guys in my live stream that anytime you see one of those RQ-4s flying in the Black Sea, it means that Ukraine is about to carry out a strike on Russia, on Crimea, or Russia's planning to carry out a strike on Ukraine. And sure enough, I was right, because just a few hours after, we had this incident here. And here you can see a close-up shot of this fire at the airport there in Sochi. And looks like there's firefighters there trying to pour some chemicals on the fire to put the fire out. But look at all that smoke, guys. Okay, so we don't know any other details other than this footage here. This is all we know. Okay, so I can't tell you anything more than that. And last night there were 4 Russian doomsday planes in the air shortly after that situation in Sochi. You can see 2 of them went east towards the Urals. One went southeast, like towards Stalingrad, and then one went towards Belarus. Actually, the one going to Belarus was a reconnaissance plane, and it actually turned its transponder off at some point. So very interesting. And here we have some footage coming from the Belgorod region of Russia. People are fleeing the area. They're evacuating Belgorod and the surrounding villages, and they're loading up on fuel before they head out. You can see a massive line of cars here. People are trying to get fuel. Okay, check this out, guys. Massive amount of people, okay, fleeing the area because there's going to be a war between the partisans and the Russian military in that area. Okay, you can see, look at all the cars they're lining up to get fuel. Okay, so people are panicking in Russia. And here we have a picture of some smoke coming from some type of strike that occurred in Belgrade, Russia. Here we have video footage of Russians fleeing from the area. Okay, you can see them carrying their belongings and trying to get out of Dodge before all hell breaks loose. Okay. And here we have some footage coming out of downtown Belgorod. You can see multiple cars on fire here. Okay, look at all these cars burning. I'm not sure what caused that. I don't know if the partisans just torched them or if that was the result of shelling. But this is in Belgorod in Russia. So as you can see, total chaos in southwestern Russia right now. These partisans are continuing to operate inside of Russia with various types of equipment, and they are vowing to step up their attacks this coming weekend during Putin's re-election. Here we have footage of some type of a strike that occurred in Belgorod. You can see a huge fireball there. Okay, so the partisans are still operating there, guys. Here we have some footage released by Russian media showing some kind of building here that was hit by artillery shell. You can see all of the glass is broken here. Okay, and here we have a picture showing some kind of building on fire there. So very serious situation in Russia. We also have some news coming out that apparently partisans from the Caucasus region are now in Belgorod, and they're calling on the people of the Caucasus to get up from their knees and fight for independence. And they also announced surprises for Kadyrov. Kadyrov is the leader of Chechnya. And here we have a post from Russian Telegram sources saying that These partisans allegedly landed by helicopter in the Belgorod region. The enemy landed troops from helicopters in the area of the settlement Kazinka in the Belgorod region. Fierce fighting is underway. The helicopters flew at ultra low altitude to remain inaccessible to air defense. Soldiers from the scene report this. Battles also continue in the Spadar-Yushino area. The enemy is pulling up forces and equipment through the Sumy and Kharkiv regions. And here we have a video clip of Jens Stoltenberg, the leader of NATO, saying that this is a critical moment and it would be a historic mistake to allow Putin to prevail. Let's listen to what he has to say here.
So this is a critical moment, and it will be a grave historic mistake to allow Putin to prevail. We cannot allow authoritarian leaders to get their way by using force. This would be dangerous for us all. Putin went to war trying to slam NATO's door shut, but he failed. So this is a critical moment, and it will be a grave historic mistake to allow Putin to prevail. We cannot allow authoritarian leaders to get their way by using force. This would be dangerous for us all.
Wow, strong words there, guys. Okay, here's some more clips of his speech.
Why are they running out of ammunition, given they have the support of so many allies, so many powerful economies? Does this represent a failure from NATO allies?
The NATO allies are not providing Ukraine with enough ammunition, and that has consequences on the battlefield every day. The fact that the Russians are able to outgun the Ukrainians every day, of course, is a huge challenge.
And apparently Russia is blocking the evacuation of civilians from the Belgorod region. Apparently transportation hubs have been surrounded by security forces. This was reported by the representative of the Ukrainian Defense Intelligence, Andriy Yusov. And Putin said the creation of a nuclear power plant in space is a priority and must be provided with funding. And Alexander Mueller, a leading member of the German Bundestag's Defense Committee, told Deutschlandfunk that the Bundestag had received information for the first time why Scholz does not want to give Taurus missiles to Ukraine during a secret session on Monday. There are one or two things that cannot be publicly said that make him rightly hesitant. Okay. And then shortly after that, Germany put their Taurus missiles on combat alert due to external threats. Okay. Very interesting. And Austria is expelling 2 Russian diplomats, and Russian troops have broken through the front line in several areas of the Zaporizhia Oblast, according to Russian media. And the German defense contractor Rheinmetall wants to build at least 4 weapons factories in Ukraine. And apparently these factories would be for the production of projectiles, military equipment, gunpowder, and air defense. And Russia has requested to convene a meeting of the UN Security Council to investigate sabotage on the Nord Stream and Nord Stream 2 gas pipelines. And the vice president of the largest oil company in Russia, Lukoil, apparently died suddenly and unexpectedly this week. He was only 53 years old. Definitely foul play involved. He was probably taken out by the Russian government. And Japan has officially agreed to cooperate with the U.S. to support Ukraine with weapons. And Russian aviation conducted missile strikes on radio and TV infrastructure in the Sumy region of Ukraine, which is in northern Ukraine. And we had a massive amount of reconnaissance over Poland and the Baltic countries last night. You can see this RC-135 rivet joint that went up through the Baltics, and it was patrolling around Kaliningrad. There was also a Swedish reconnaissance plane patrolling along the Polish-Kaliningrad border. So NATO is heavily focusing on Kaliningrad. Very, very interesting. And here we have another reconnaissance plane operated by NATO also patrolling around Kaliningrad. So we had 3 reconnaissance planes patrolling the Baltic area around Kaliningrad and northern Poland. Okay, here's 2 of them. Here's the third one. And then there was also this one here, which could have been an aerial refueler, but I think it's also a reconnaissance plane. And this was in the afternoon today. It was looping over Lithuania and in the Baltic Sea. Very interesting. And we had a massive amount of Chinese vessels and aircraft approaching Taiwan yesterday. 26 Chinese aircraft and 10 Chinese naval vessels were operating around Taiwan. And I want to show you guys this massive reconnaissance that was happening over South Korea last night. We had several U.S. military reconnaissance planes flying back and forth along the DMZ here last night. And we also had a combat scent plane flying in the East China Sea. Very interesting. Now, the combat scent planes, we only have two of them. They're a high priority reconnaissance plane for the president and the Joint Chiefs. So, since we only have two of them, if there's one of them up in the air somewhere, it means that the president and the top generals want to get a closer look at something. So, they send this plane up. And here you can see it was in the East China Sea and it landed in Okinawa, but it was up in the air at the same time as all the reconnaissance planes were up in the air over South Korea. So, very interesting. We have reports of another attack in the Red Sea this afternoon. Apparently, there was a kaboom at a distance from a vessel. The vessel sustained no damage. Russian state media is claiming that the Houthis have conducted a successful test of a hypersonic missile with speeds in excess of Mach 8, which they plan to soon introduce to their arsenal for use against targets in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, as well as to Israel. They further state that the Houthis have now also completed overhaul of their anti-ship missiles and drones, which will give them double their previous destructive power. Wow, guys. So is it possible that Russia gave the Houthis hypersonic missiles? As far as I know, Iran doesn't have hypersonic missiles, or not enough to where they could just give them out. So Russia apparently gave the Houthis hypersonic missiles and bigger warheads for their ballistic missiles and drones so they can cause more chaos in the Red Sea and give us more things to be concerned about. Very, very interesting. And they could turn these weapons against Israel, guys, okay? And that would be biblical if they did that, because we know that the Bible says Russia and all the Middle Eastern countries will come together to attack Israel in the end times. And Houthi sources are saying that the US and the UK have carried out airstrikes on the Hodeidah airport in western Yemen. That's the main airport in Yemen. And the Iranian state news agency has confirmed rumors that there have been indirect negotiations between Tehran and Washington about Iran's nuclear program. Very interesting. I hope we're not going to actually allow them to continue their nuclear program. There should not be any negotiations at all. It should be you have no nukes or else, okay? The White House and other senior members of the Biden administration are reportedly discussing the possibility of using the Guantanamo Bay naval base in southeastern Cuba as a refugee processing camp if a mass exodus occurs from Haiti towards the mainland United States. Now, we know that the governor of Florida has already deployed 250 cops to patrol the southern part of Florida to ensure that these Haitian migrants don't arrive to Florida, okay? At least 3 undersea cables have been damaged off the coast of Africa, causing widespread outages across Africa. This is a devastating blow to internet connectivity along the west coast of Africa, which will be operating in a degraded state for weeks to come. This is very interesting, guys. Maybe, this is related to France or Russia operating there, and maybe France cut some cables or Russia cut some cables. Very interesting. But this is the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight with more breaking news. So until then, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. Guys, if you want to learn about some of the most infamous terrorist leaders in the Middle East, you got to check out Gaza's Most Wanted. They have these playing cards and shooting range targets with all the most infamous terrorists printed on them. So this way you can learn what they look like and who they are while playing a game of poker or while having fun at the range practicing your skills. 10% of proceeds are donated to support the Israeli Defense Forces. So check them out, gazasmostwanted.com. And if you use the promo code NYPrepper, you get 5% off of your entire order. So I'm going to leave a link and the promo code in the description below this video.